A common question, what are the reptiles that you regret getting? And I would say I don't regret any of my animal purchases, but I'll never get these 5 ever again. Thanks for watching. My name's Adam. This is Diamond, and Diamond is definitely not one of the reptiles that I wouldn't choose to get again. And keep in mind, in this list, the 5 reptiles that I don't recommend, 5 common reptiles I don't recommend and why. I'm gonna give you 5 alternatives to each one, and these aren't bad reptiles necessarily. They're just ones that I don't recommend based on my personal experience and my opinion. So if these are ones that you really like, not saying don't get them, just saying they're not for me. And I feel like I fit in the category of most reptile keepers. There's nothing really special about me, so that's why I thought it'd be useful to you. So let's just start it off. Number 5. Anacondas. Anacondas, everyone thinks are these big giant snakes, but they're not always. In fact, there are 2 main species of anacondas, or let's just simplify it like that. Big ones being green anacondas and small ones being yellow anacondas. I actually own a yellow anaconda. I didn't mean to get it, just a friend of mine was getting out of the hobby, getting rid of all of her reptiles. And instead of sending this thing to the reptile store to sit there for months and months, I figured I'll find it a home. And in the meantime, I'll let all of you lovely people know why they're amazing, but just not for me, and I don't recommend them for you. One of the main things is yellow anacondas aren't monsters in terms of size. I mean, these animals might get 9 foot, maybe 10 foot, maybe bigger, but males are probably gonna be 5 or 6 feet, females maybe 7 feet. That's just generally where they fall. So they're pretty small, especially when you hear anaconda and you think, oh wow, this monster of the, Amazon. Well, sort of. Green anacondas do fit in that role. Green anacondas can get 20 plus feet all the time. This is not uncommon for you to find a female green anaconda that's over 20 feet. And green anacondas are the heaviest bodied species of snake in the entire world. Maybe not the longest, but I mean, there is a debate there, but they're definitely the most heavy bodied. Not only that, but they're feisty in general. Now there are exceptions, right? So I'm not saying that everyone is the devil. I mean, look at this one. This is a yellow anaconda that Trish, my fiance, is holding with relatively no issue. He was pretty striky, or she, I don't really know if it was a boy or a girl, this anaconda that we still have. It was feisty out of the beginning, but once she got him out, it was really no issue at all. We just shot B-roll outside, no issues whatsoever, super fun. She actually likes this animal. It's gonna be hard to sell now because she likes it so much. But either way, most of them are pretty feisty. They'll strike to the side, they'll strike forward. They just don't really have too much of a warning. Not only that, but even if you can get past that, can you house the thing? This is a big animal that is gonna need a water area because they're oftentimes called water boas. They are in the boa family, they're a type of boa, but they live in the water most of the time. So do you have a big water area that's heated and filtered, plus a land area? I mean, most people don't have that. Instead, I would recommend getting a BCI or BCC. So basically a boa constrictor. And the reason is they come in the smaller size, BCI. They come in the larger size, BCC or BIBC. We change names all the time in herpetoculture. I'll keep this one rather short. They're a boa species from around the same area of the world, but they're generally easier to handle, generally less feisty, and instead of being, I mean, they will use a water area, but they're more apt to be semi-arboreal than semi-aquatic. So you can give them an area with some height and stuff, and you don't have to give them a big water receptacle. Another issue with anacondas is you're gonna be pulling tons of money out of your wallet just to care for the things because they needed such a big enclosure. And when I do pull money out of my wallet, it's always a Ridge wallet. Thanks to today's sponsor, Ridge, just in time for Father's Day. This is the gift, if I didn't already have one, I would want, and what my dad, brother-in-law, and father-in-law are all getting for Father's Day this year. The dad wallet is dead. This is what's up. I love the RFID blocking Ridge wallet. Not only that, but it has capacity for up to 12 cards, even though I only keep 3 in mine, cash strap or cash clip on the back. My favorite is the new High Dive Blue, which matches my shirt. I did not mean for this to happen. Although I've thought to switching to their very cool MagSafe wallet. How about that? 1 small package in your pocket instead of 2. But there's over 50 different colors to choose from. I love the carbon fiber, I love the leather wallets, the ceramic wallets, and also if you want to match it with your keys, you can. Bam. This is what I have in my pocket at all times. Keys, wallet, put them in your pocket, That's it. No jingling. You don't have a sore back because your wallet is this freaking thick. It just makes sense. Plus, they have over 100,000 5-star reviews, and you've got 99 days to test drive it, and if you don't love it, send it back, no questions asked. And whether it's for yourself, your dad, your mom, your brother, it doesn't matter, your dog, my dog has one, I mean, why not, right? Right now, go to my link, rage.com/WWR to get up to 40% off your order. Thanks to Rage for sponsoring today's video. Hit the link below, rage.com/WWR. Number 4, beauty snakes. Now, beauty snakes, there's a bunch of different ones. Taiwan beauty snakes, cave-dwelling rat snakes is a type of beauty snake. I mean, they're all rat snakes is what they are from Asia, right? So this one here is a Taiwan, and I think blue beauties are probably the most beautiful, but either way, they're known for being feisty. This is gonna be a common theme here, but also they're big. This animal doesn't look that big, but she's about 6 feet long or so, about full grown. They can get up to 9 feet for really big females, and they're an animal that needs space above. These are a semi-arboreal snake, a crazy tail that just looks so prehensile, just the way that it sits there, the way that it looks. I think they're really interesting and fun, but also they're quick to strike. They're not the easiest thing in the world to tame out. And of course, keep in mind, I'm not recommending this to most people. The people who are okay and actually seek out the feisty snakes. I remember going to Snake Discovery and seeing these beauty snakes, and my friend Brian Cusco was like, yeah, I want to handle those. Yeah, but Brian, they're kind of feisty. I know, that's why I want to handle them. If that's for you, that's for you. But I think for most people, you'd better off getting a different type of Asian rat snake, something like a rhino rat snake. Now, rhino rats don't get as big. I can't really think of many colubrids that are arboreal, like they are semi-arboreal, pretty arboreal, that are about the same size, because beauty snakes are really big. But rhino rat snakes are freaking beautiful. I love these. This is my favorite species of Asian rat snake for sure. They have that crazy cluster of scales that's like piled on top of each other to look like a horn or a tusk, and that's why they're called a rhino rat snake. We don't know if it's really used for mating, although that's what we speculate. Could be used for other things too, but they're semi-arboreal. They go from like a gray color when they're babies all the way to a green color, although there are xanthics that are basically blue if you can shell out the cash for one or find one, and they're gonna spend a lot of time in the water. So if you have a paludarium that has lots of water, height, and a land area, which you won't find them that often, they'll do great. Number 3, Kenyan sand boas. I've said this before, but I haven't talked about them in years, I think, simply because Kenyan sand boas are a beginner species. When I first got into the world of reptile YouTube, Kenyan sand boas were a common theme on Brian Barchuk's channel. That's the one that I watched, snake bites, back in the day, 2013, 14, 15, right? And I think that these animals are amazing and they're beautiful and they come in a bunch of morphs and they're, really cool. But Kenyan sand boas are just that, they're sand boas. And they're cheap and they're easy to find, but you might as well just get a box of dirt, because until it's time to eat, you're never gonna see them. They're always gonna be buried in the sand or dirt or whatever you keep them in. And they don't need a big enclosure and they're not very big, and they do strike sideways, which is cool, but generally they're pretty handleable. So that's cool, but if you want an animal you're gonna see, those ones aren't for you. If you want an animal you'll see all the time cruising around that's of a similar size, because Kenyan sand boas are small, but a little bit thick, the females can be anyway, really small by the way in terms of boas, I would recommend something that is technically fossorial, which means it digs, but isn't going to act that way in captivity most of the time. And what I'm talking about is hognose snakes, plains hognose snakes, formerly western hognose snakes. Now there's other ones too, easterns and tricolors, and they're great. But western hognose snakes, it means the logo, my logo, WWR, it's a hognose snake, okay? I love them, it was my first snake, they're beautiful, they come in a bunch of different morphs. They have that really cool nose that they use for burrowing, but they are a diurnal species that'll be out during the day all the time. I used to have one in my office when I just had one of them, and I would literally look over and she'd be constantly moving around. I loved this snake. I actually still have that snake. This is a breeding snake now. I have some snakes in the incubator, or eggs rather, that'll turn into baby hognose snakes. I have a bunch in my collection. I love this animal. They're small, they're easy to feed. They are technically rear fang venomous, but they're not dangerous. I mean, unless you have an allergy, like say a bee sting. If a bee stings me, it's no problem. If a bee stings my mom, we're going to the hospital because she's allergic. Same sort of thing with hognose snakes. So be careful, but in general, I love them. I think they're amazing. And I mean, who can resist that super cute face? Number 2, chameleons. If you've been a fan of the channel for any length of time, you knew this was coming. Chameleons, and by the way, I've been to Madagascar where there is the majority of chameleon species in the wild, okay? I've seen a bunch of different 20 plus different species of chameleons. I've studied them. I went there with the Chameleon Academy, like an actual expert on chameleons. He would tell you the same thing. They're delicate and not for most people. This is a specialty pet of specialty pets. And I think that they're amazing, they're awesome, they're great. I had a chameleon for a short while, but it was a wild-caught individual from Madagascar that came in with parasites, and before we could get this animal treated properly, it crashed and died. And this is something that, we're not going to go down there, because we talked about wild-caught too many times. There's a video right here all about it. Instead, I would like to focus on the fact that even if you get one, say a veiled chameleon or panther chameleon, which are often bred in captivity, they're still going to be fragile. Jackson's chameleons are another great example. The coolest chameleon, I think, the most beautiful ones, tree triceratops. Either way, if you don't give, say, a Jackson's chameleon, just as an example, a crazy night drop and spike the humidity every night, it will slowly get sick and then eventually die without showing too many symptoms. And there's specialty care requirements for all chameleons, and they all need specific things. And I remember being in the forest, or actually on the side of the road, but that's how Madagascar is, so there's a forest right there, and literally at night, it is fog. It's 100% humidity. It looks like someone let go of a fogger. It's crazy, but it's still warm, and then it dips down below a certain temperature, 65 or something like that, for a short period of time, and then it warms back up. Like, it is the craziest environment, and I've been all over the world. This one takes the cake. So it's a specialty animal. If you want something that's like a chameleon with the movable eyes that go in different directions, get a false chameleon. It's an anole species from Cuba, that part of the world. Cuban false chameleons are amazing because they eat insects, so they don't have that shooty tongue, which you're rarely going to see in captivity anyway, but they do have the eyes that move in different directions. They don't have the pincher claws. They have regular type anole features, paws, feetsies. Is feetsies the medical term, scientific? And they can cling to the glass. Chameleons can't do that. So I think that they're a great substitute. I really like the one that I have now. He's very handleable, and he's way more resistant to stress. He can tolerate stress a lot better than every chameleon species I've ever heard of. But if you really want a chameleon, I mean, there's veileds, panthers, Jacksons, and then I think the one that's going to be the next big thing in chameleons is carpets. That's the one I had. It's my favorite species. Number 1, fire skinks. Fire skinks I don't recommend just because they're hard to find captive bred now. They used to be much easier to find. I just feel like, I don't know, they aren't as popular anymore, and because of that, no one was breeding them for a while. And not to say that they're a bad animal or a bad species, or like, I just don't think that they're a great species for most people when there are things like Schneider skinks available. Fire skinks come from parts of Africa. They need very humid, almost like a bog and an enclosure type thing. Schneider skinks are easy. Throw in a mixture of play sand and cocoa fiber, dry it out, make it a very hot spot, give it some UVB and a lot of room to dig, and these animals will dig, and they actually do look similar to a Kenyan sand boa, but they're also going to be around up top all the time. They're little goofballs. They'll climb around. They'll fall off of things. If you take them out, they jump on me when I try to take them out. These animals will jump to me like they want to be around me. Now, I'm just something fun to climb on and I'm the food bringer, but at the same time, you almost feel an affection with a Schneider skink that you do not feel with a fire skink. They're also easier to care for, and you can cohab them really easily. Now, of course, do your research on cohab. It's a hot button issue, but either way, I think fire skinks are probably one that I wouldn't recommend for most people, and I wouldn't get myself, but I definitely would continue to get Schneider skinks, and the ones I have now, I'll never sell. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree with this list. I'd really love for you to give me an idea for next week's video if you have one. Hit the subscribe button and the like button while you're down there. It lets me know that you like these videos. And a special thanks to the Patreon supporters. You guys get videos early, discounts on merch. The one-on-ones have been so much fun. I send you a Zoom link, we talk for an hour or half an hour, depending on your tier. So much fun, and that's it. Because I do videos on Mondays and Thursdays. I'll see you in the next one.